more seriously, if you don't like to read the Bible, do. There's some fantastic things in there to understand. So compare these two, and you'll find out that the Genesis 1 account, although it doesn't seem to fit astronomical description, I'll tell you that in the way it does, it is so rational, so step by step compared to the other 64 explorations of creation, that it can't be just man's creation. Something happened there in which Moses was revealed. And Genesis is not the only story of creation. There are many. Job 38 was written 1,000 years before Moses wrote. In 1440 he wrote the Genesis 1 and 2. Okay? Just to give you a little taste. The purpose of Genesis 1 and 2 is this, my friends. 1, God's sovereignty over nature. There were not many gods playing games with the world. God in the beginning created the heavens and the earth. I can't think of anything more rational than that. The second one, the creation account given in Genesis 1-2 is linear. The universe started and the universe is going to end. You go into the Hindu scriptures and you find out that life is circular. It always comes back. Science has disproved that. The third emphasis is not on the mechanism of evolution. So don't be afraid of evolution. That's not going to be my topic. That's a huge thing. Darwinian evolution has some very interesting scientific basis to it. But don't be afraid of that, because the Bible is not describing Darwin. What he's saying is that, why did God create the heavens and the earth? Why did he create you and me? So he can have fellowship with us. That's the essence of Genesis 1 and 2. It's not the mechanism. Although there's some very interesting explanations. I'll give you one of them. Okay? And one last thing, I didn't put it down, it's called accommodation. Accommodation. Harmartsenel. God spoke to Moses according to scriptures describing Genesis, how the earth was made. Imagine God explaining to Moses Einstein's laws of relativity, Newtonian's mechanics, and so on. Who would understand it? God reveals himself at levels that our minds can't we understand. Now we see that Genesis 1, in a very abbreviated, beautiful form, tells us how the earth came into existence, how life came into existence. We use science to amplify how that happened. Okay? This is where the two intersect beautifully each other, and that's how I look at it. All right, let's just move on. I don't have to take too much time. Okay. This is probably my, let's see, what time is it? Don't be afraid of time. God is outside time. We are in time. Time is relative. For example, look at these numbers. There are three ways people look at it. People who believe that young Earth was only 10,000 years old, 10 to the 4, 10,000. Older Earth, like I believe, was 13 billion years old. That's 13 times 10 to the 9. Look how close they are, 4 and 9. Probability of the smallest living virus by chance alone is 10 to the 138,000. Ask your kids, which is closer? We don't have to be afraid. And time is not constant. Don't have to look at this. If we go at the speed of light, time slows down. It's called time dilatation. If we are under huge gravitational force, time slows down. Let me tell you what's happening. The way I see Genesis, the 24 hours, is God's time, not ours. Ours is billions, and they are equivalent. Let me tell you what happens. Suppose you traveled around a black hole with a rocket. You can't do that because you'll be sucked in. Suppose you were able to do that. The gravitational force is so strong at the black hole. If you did that in 1 year, you went around the black hole in 1 year, you know how much time would elapse on Earth? 1 billion years. Gravity has changed time. And that's how I believe God. This is my speculation, of course, that God worked. Okay, let's look briefly at these two nice pictures. Aren't they nice cousins? Yeah. Wonderful. You know, I have a joke with my colleagues who say we have come from the monkey. They go this way, they say, Kenell, our ancestors were chimps. I say, who? Your ancestors were chimps. My ancestors were angels because Psalm 8 says we are made a little lower than angels. I'm sorry about it, I say. It was a joke, I think, but there is some very important similarities. Okay? This is, you know, if you look at man is garbage. Our body is like garbage. Man is machine. Our minds are like a computer. Man is an animal. Our DNA is within 6% of Chip's DNA because we were all made from the dirt of earth, dust of earth. Chip was dust of earth, we were dust of earth. So physically, but that 6% is the big difference. This is why we were created in God's image, according to scriptures. And you'll see why. Only man employs propositional language. He's a discursive being. Only man makes tools. I mean, real tools, technology, not little things that one used to. Only man enacts laws. He's a political being. Only man has developed a cumulative cultural tradition. He's a historical being. Only man engages in ritualistic practice. He's a religious being. Only man uses art for art's sake. This is given by Mortimer Adler, who was not a Christian, he was a philosopher. He realized the uniqueness of you and me, just as we saw in previous pictures, right? Only man creates and enjoys music. Listen to Mozart one day. Some of his beautiful pieces and say, oh my goodness, we're only a little bit different than monkeys. It's ridiculous. I mean, it is ridiculous to say that. There's such a qualitative difference between the highest form of animal and us that something special happened. Okay, let's just take some pictures now very quickly. This is the Hubble telescope, 400 miles above the surface of the Earth. And there are some of the pictures. This is our closest galaxy, 2.3 million light years away. You know how many stars are there in this one? 100 billion. Now, if you, in the dark day, if you go outside, away from Los Angeles into back of the mountains and look at the skies, look at Cassiopeia doubling and Pegasus quarter. In the corner, there's a very there's a very, very weak looking star. If you had a magnifying glass, big, it's this. Can you imagine that? And there's trillion of these galaxies that make up the universe. Here are some beautiful pictures. This is a Countdown galaxy. Another one. See, these are actual pictures taken by Hubble showing you the beauty of the galaxy, of the universe. Here is another one. This is called the Orset, or the Cone Nebula. Okay, now that's the Cone Nebula. Let me go back. See the Cone Nebula? You know what this is? This is a jellyfish. The beauty of the universe and the beauty of the animal that when you swim you try to avoid, right? In Beirut when we swam, we always swim away from jellyfish. This is a jellyfish. I'm just want to show the wonders and the beauty of the universe. So God, more than a scientist, you know, God is an artist. He creates, you know, artists never repeats his picture, right? We engineers do, we create the same chairs all the time for economy. An artist or a poet or a musician, everything he gives up is something new. And that's what God has done. Some more of them. Here we go. Let me stop here. This is called the eye of God. You remember Johannes Touryan, what he said? Zavorčík amter langam gache engaz yerpinkiz, ases asluzo achka baizar, askumet size yerpinkiz. That's it. It's just fantastic. It looks like it's God's eye. More galaxies, more pictures. This is now about 13 billion years inside the book. More of them. This is called Gomez's hamburger. You can imagine God must have a big mouth to be able to do this. Okay, I'm coming to the end very quickly. I want to show this. It's called the miraculous spiral which Fermat developed. You know what this is? Look at the helical design. Look at the Nautilus. It's a helical design. Look at the hurricane, Uragan. It's a helical design. And look at the galaxy. It has a helical design. And then, you know, as a human being, uniquely endowed, this is what I can do. I can describe all of them with a very simple equation. That's a miracle, folks. A real miracle. The LN is a natural law. Anyone who's interested in mathematics. That simple equation can describe from the flower to the universe. Well, very quick. You see that explosion? We just had it a couple days ago. That's our beautiful sun. What is interesting is, this is what you see is the earth, and you see the corona. What you see outside is the earth. Corona. Yeah, the corona. Did you know that astronomy started because the moon's circle, the moon's area, when it comes between Earth and Sun, is exactly the size of the Sun. No other planet, no other Artariac, is like this. It so happens that our moon was designed in a way that it would be in the same orbit as the Earth, far enough from the Sun, small enough, so that its face would cover it. And what happened is that in the 19th century, what you see the bright out there is the solar corona. Using spectrographs, scientists suddenly realized what the sun is made of. We would have never known that. So astronomy started because of our unique position, because of the unique position of the moon relative to the Earth. Okay, let's kind of wrap it up here. You know what? Don't be terrified. These are the equations that describe the entire universe. The top one is mechanics, Newton's equations. The second is Maxwell's equations. The third is statistical mechanics. The fourth is quantum mechanics. The lowest is general. The reason I show this is I have this on my desk. When my faith gets weak and I start wondering if God exists, I look at these equations and my faith is renewed. Because I realize that God has created a universe that is understandable, that it doesn't change. The equations that describe the universe are the same, so I can study it, find it, discover it, and then use technology as a result of it. You don't have to do that. So, let's end up with this. Let's go back to the beautiful our galaxy, all right? Here's the sun. You see the sun at the end there. And then around the sun, we have our planets. And let's look at them. Here they are, all 9 of them, including poor Pluto. Dani kısamdet meygazı var. Harari borna. This is also kısamıyor tazar harari karasu ora brazı. Kısamıyor tazar harari karasu. I should say. So you forget words, isn't that terrible? And then I go sit down, and I suddenly remember. So it looks like my mind has gone to my body. Now, look at all these planets. God looked, you know what God did? He took the trillion galaxies aside, came down to the Milky Way galaxy, it's a beautiful galaxy. He saw a tiny little sun at the edge of the galaxy and says, wow, that's something neat. He looked further and found out that there are 9 planets. And then he saw beautiful blue Earth. And he fell in love with it. And John 3:16 says, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, those who believe on him would not perish, but have everlasting life. He fell in love with this blue planet. All the other planets, here is Venus, here is Mars, here is Jupiter, here is one of the planets of Jupiter, and so on. None of them have life. And can't even have, this is what we see, this is Titan with its liquid methane lakes. Here are the kinds of, this is our sun, tiny, tiny sun. Very little on the left. And this is how big other stars could be, all right? So the universe is just very, very rich with things. But then, all the beautiful blue Earth, all right? And this is what makes things really, really serious for us to consider. Here we are. This is an actual picture of our earth and our moon. All right? So note the incredible contrast mentioned in the following passages. Psalm 84. When I consider the heavens, the work of your fingers, who is man that you care for him? Okay, is that a statement? Then in Isaiah 57:15 it says, he dwells in eternity. God dwells in eternity, but with him who has a humble heart. Can you imagine? Eternity cannot contain God, but you and I can. Now that's miracle of miracles. That's why he loved us so much, you and me. And then let's end up with this. So metaphysical wonderment, our wonderment of the beauty of the universe, leads us to worship. You look at the starry sky, and you see how wonderful, right? And then physical puzzlement leads us to scientific investigation. This is like a coin with two sides. One side leads to worship. The other side leads to scientific investigation. And both are God's creation. Both are beautiful. Both are wonderful. And God has given us the privilege to enjoy both. Thank you for listening.